To discuss abortion is to delve into a realm of morality that has so many different definitions and opinions involved with it that it often incites chaos amongst those debating it. Here, we will be looking into Mary Ann Warren's opinion on the permissibility of abortion and the words that are involved with the topic of abortion in order to prove her opinion is valid. Though it is a vital topic that is extremely important and alive in the modern day, it can be avoided by many because of the ferocity in which it is argued over. Mary Ann Warren dives into the topic with a strong, logical, and rational argument about the moral standing of abortion, discussing what a person is and what it has in order to declare that it is indeed a human being, and claiming what a fetus does not have in alignment with a person that would title it as not. There are so many different pieces that are involved with this topic that it can be extremely difficult to find a place to begin an argument. In my opinion, one of the most important things to establish at the beginning of an argument is the definition and understanding of the words that are involved in an argument. Warren begins her text by discussing the idea of a human and its relation to the human's connection to the moral community. To start, she begins with the statements: 1, it is wrong to kill innocent human beings. 2, fetuses are innocent human beings. 3, it is wrong to kill fetuses. This is her line. This is the line of thinking. This is the basic argument against abortion, and the one that she will be arguing against in her paper. She addresses the first statement by acknowledging that 1 is a self-evident moral truth and avoids begging the question about abortion only if human being is used to mean something like a full-fledged member of the moral community. For if it is not part of the moral community, then the rights that go along with being a part of that would not be applied to it. She has now introduced the idea of the moral community and henceforth applies the rules and knowledge of it into her argument. Considering the moral community, Warren believes that it consists of all and only people, and that the best way of demonstrating its self-evidence is by considering the concept of personhood. Now she has to delve into the question of what constitutes personhood and what that means for a person's moral rights when they are seen as a person or not. A list needs to be made that defines personhood in order to determine whether a fetus is a person or not. And then we can state whether it is part of the moral community. This is her list. 1, consciousness of objects and events external and or internal to the being, and in particular, the capacity to feel pain. 2, reasoning. 3, self-motivated activity. 4, the capacity to communicate by whatever means messages of an indefinite variety of types. That is not just an indefinite number of possible contexts, but on indefinitely many possible topics. 5, the presence of self-concepts and self-awareness, either individual or racial or both. Warren states that this list and then begins to look it over and explain her stance on it. She replies that it would not be acceptable to say that something must meet all of these conditions to be a person, but they could only meet a couple of them in order to. All that needs to be known to be able to tell if something is a person is whether they meet any of these conditions. For if they meet none of them, they are surely not a person. Therefore, we need to find out if a fetus meets none or any of these conditions. Warren next addresses 2 problems that could arise with the application of this list. She states that the original paradigm discusses a human as an adult. She poses the concern about how far after conception does a thing need to be considered a person. Also, does the fact that a fetus has the potential to become a person have an impact on the discussion? In answering the first question, she goes back again to the list. A fetus does not meet any of the criteria of this list, but an infant can. Therefore, even if the fetus starts to look like a person, it is not considered person-like enough to warrant any restrictions on abortion. To answer the second objection, Warren looks not just at the fetus, but at the person whom it would be affecting. She concludes that something that has the potential to be a person definitely has rights, but those rights could not outweigh the rights of a fully developed female person. She states that whenever these two things clash, the fully developed person's rights will always prevail as the more important to consider, and therefore it would be morally permissible for a woman to have an abortion. So, to help her audience understand what she has brought to the table, Warren uses an example of a space explorer. A human space explorer falls into the hands of an alien race. They wish to take his body and extract every cell down to its original self and then grow hundreds of more people from his cells. He knows that the people that grow from this will be treated fairly, have all of his traits, his consciousness, and that the experiment has a very high possibility of success. Warren believes that the space explorer has every right to object to this because his rights as a living person outweigh the rights of all the potential people that could come from this experiment. Warren's discussion is extremely logical, well thought out, and explained. One of the things that has always come up in arguments about abortion is the question of what separates us from other beings and makes us a person, and therefore grants us the rights associated with being a person. Her list is a great way for us to understand exactly what personhood is and what exactly qualifies as a person in order to get a standing on abortion. She addresses the possible questions that arise from the list with logical responses that back up her opinion. The example she gives maps out her argument and proves its strengths. With this information, she can come to the conclusion that abortion is morally permissible.